In the center, just take a breath and pull the trigger.
Sorry, I didn't tell you I was ready.
How was that?
That hurt.
Well, first off, I'd like to welcome everybody to the channel. Aim high, spend less. I guess that's my motto. I work in the performance realm with automobiles. I'm used to watching people spend a lot of money. I've got a lot of friends that spend a lot of money on guns. I just can't afford to play that way. But I figured I'd start the channel with something I had my eye on for a while. I've owned a Ruger American in the past. I owned the Gen 1 and a 6.5 Creedmoor and a Predator. Never really got a chance to use the rifle. Never even got an optic for it. Saw a good deal, bought it, regretted selling it. Then the Gen 2s came out. I was in the gun shop the other day. Said, yeah, it's time. The price is right, for a sub $600 rifle. It feels smooth. The weight's nice, something I can work with and start with. So I figured I'll do a series based on this rifle. Last weekend I was in a big rush. Got this local range I belong to in Lecanto, Florida. They require you to do a qualification for anything above, or for 300 yards and above. They go up to 600 there. They use an electronic target system. They just want to make sure that their equipment's not getting damaged. So they're pretty strict on that. The last time I was there, I did not have a bolt rifle that I could qualify with. They have basically a minimum bullet speed. There's some minimum requirements to be able to qualify. So I purchased this rifle. I purchased the Vortex scope. The rifle was brand new. The scope was used. It was just something they had in the cabinet there. I have my eye on some other ones, but I figured I'd start with it. For a used scope for $150, can't beat it. Vortex Diamondback 3.5 to 10 by 50. I will say when I stretched out to 600 yards, I hit and I qualified at 600 yards. They give you 3 shots at 300 and 3 shots at 6. I hit the 300 right away. I knew I wasn't going to miss that. The 600, I had never tried that far before. It definitely... I had the dope for the rifle. I knew what I needed to do. I made a mistake when I was adjusting the scope. This scope isn't as direct when you are adjusting it. You're trying to count the clicks. The clicks are pretty soft. I did not make the proper adjustment and made a newbie mistake. The rifle had been zeroed. I zeroed it at 100. And because I was nervous, I was in a rush. My range officer was there. There's other people watching me knowing it was my first time. And I made some mistakes on my initial shots for 600, and I made the choice to go back, make sure my rifle was zeroed, and come back to 600. I hit the first 3 shots perfectly. It just, the one thing I will say, 3.5 by 10, or 3.5 to 10 for, with a 10 power for a new shooter. It definitely takes a little work if you don't have an idea of what you're doing. But I was able to do it. Brand new rifle to me that weekend. Brand new scope to me. Never having shot above 300 yards. I was impressed I was able to hit 600. That being said, I've decided that I would come back to 100 yards. I kind of rushed last weekend. I was using the ammo I was using last weekend. I had a couple different Hornady. I had a boat tail hollow points and 168 grain match. I had the black Hornady in 168 grain. I had this Aguila 308 150 grain. And then I had some ammo that was hand loads for a precision bolt rifle that the specs were dead on with what the Hornady match headspace and everything worked. So I used that. It actually shot the best in this rifle. But I kind of rushed through. I was excited. I was at a new range, second time out there, and I was trying to qualify for my card to be able to shoot there at 3 and 6 anytime I want. They also have a gong at 200. I will say the electronic targets are nice. you know, especially at that distance, it makes the turnaround quick on cold. But anyway, you know, that was my opening day to it. I went up there today. I had been watching a lot of the reviews online, and you know, people were saying the Federal. Uh, I looked at the Federal Premium. It's a law enforcement tactical tipped 168 grain, and also some Federal Gold Medal Sierra Match King. I found them both online for amazing prices, so I bought probably more than I should have. Went to the range today with the intention of putting down some good groups and really working on my 100-yard, 200-yard targets. Unfortunately, the weather wasn't there. It was extremely windy. At first, we had a lot of headwind and blowing right in my face, and that was affecting my elevation. And then the wind changed and was blowing gusts directly east to west across the range, and the day wasn't there. It started to pouring rain. We had thunder, and you know, there was a risk of shutting the range down. But I worked on some groups. I only went through like one box, playing at the 100-yard, just seeing what this could do. I've had some really tight groups with it. I want a good day. I have a lot to learn. So I went over to the 200-yard gong, and that was entertaining at least, and it had no problem either with the 175 grain premium gold medal Sierra. The gong was easy, so was with the 168. I mean, speaking to the choir. But basically, you know, the goal is to go through this. I want to make small changes before I do any big changes. Everything with budget in mind. I'm a working class mechanic that, you know, can't afford to own the expensive stuff, at least not right now. And I just want to make small upgrades, little changes, see how it affects it. Last weekend I was shooting from bipod, just a, you know, generic Caldwell, and this stock, in my opinion, is too weak for it. It flexes a lot. From the factory, it kind of has a lack of clearance on the right side, which I've seen a lot of them do. I've taken it apart, loosened everything, you know, I should say, removed all hardware, pulled the action out, checked everything over, lubricated everything up, put everything in, torqued it to spec, and brought it back out to see, you know, if it made any changes from last weekend. I think the majority of the issues I'm having are me. You know, I have a lot to learn. I went from using the bipod to using a front and rear sandbag. It definitely helped me. I think I was putting too much pressure on my front hand, so I removed my hands from the equation, let the rifle rest, did everything from the back, just nice deep breaths, and took some time, but the weather wasn't there for super tight groups. I don't think it'd be a fair judgment, but anyway, I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch, and I hope I can come up with some good content. I've got a lot of others that I can take out there, all reasonable budget price stuff, and we'll go from there. But thank you again, and welcome to the channel.